Hello, this is Sara with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video I'm going to show you how to make a tassel, but also how to make a template so that you can measure your tassels or tassels. I don't know which way is accurate, whether we say tassels or tassels, but I do remember a certain genie said Tassels. I love Aladdin. That's one of my favorite cartoons. So anyway, back to making tassels. The way to make what I call a template is just to use a piece of cardboard. And this is just a piece of cardboard my son got in something, and I asked him if I could have it. It's a little bit thicker than, say, a poster board, but it's not real thick. So what I did to make myself a template is I took my tape measure, or this is just a little ruler that I just love, and it has 6 inches on it. So what I did is on this side I measured off, for instance, this side I measured 2 inches and I marked some lines, and then I marked the 1 inch and 2 inch, and with this one I did a 1 through 4 inch and marked it off 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is a 3-inch one. And then on the other side of the cardboard, I did a 6 inch because this measuring tape goes to 6 inches. And you don't have to be exact. It's just to help with making our tassels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them. And I'll be able to use these to make all different sizes of tassels. And I'm not using my good sewing scissors. I'm using just an extra pair of kitchen scissors that I have on hand. And then I'll have these, and I'll keep these in a bag or something so that when I go to make tassels, I'll have several templates that I can use for the different sizes. And here's my 6-inch one. I still need to make a 5-inch one. But I found that I don't make 5-inch ones very often, because if I want it 5 inches, I end up just trimming the end of it. So this is the way you make a template. So here's 3-inch, here's the 2-inch, here's a 4-inch, and then here is a 6-inch. Now I could make a 5-inch one also, but it doesn't have to be real wide. It just needs to be the length that you want for your tassel. And that's where you measure. You don't measure the top part. You measure from the top of the tassel to the bottom. And here's this tassel I made in a chunky yarn, and I made it 7 inches because it was a bigger yarn. So you can see I made that one a little bit longer. This one I ended up making about 5 inches because I used the 6-inch template and just trimmed it down. So you can do that. So we're going to work with the 6-inch one right now, just so that you understand how to make a tassel. So what you're going to need to do is you need some yarn, and you need a good pair of scissors that cut. All right. So the first thing you need to do is cut off 2 pieces that are about 12 inches long. So there's one. We'll set that aside. And I'll just make another one about the same size as the one I just made, just by going like this. And you're going to need these 2 pieces because we're going to need a piece to tie up here, and we're going to need a piece to tie around. So we'll set that aside again. We have our 2 pieces ready, and then we're going to take our yarn. And this is, okay, so this is our template. I'm going to hold it with my thumb. If you want to make a little notch up there, you can, and that will help you hold it if you want to. I just always hold it with my thumb. And then I begin wrapping the distance that I want to make. This is my 6-inch template. Now remember, a tassel doesn't need to be as wide as, say, a pom-pom. It's just up to you. I usually do about 10 or 12 wraps for a nice size tassel. All right, so now I've done enough wraps. I'm going to come back up this way. I'm going to set this down, and I'm just going to cut this off so that it's at the same end as my other one, and just stick it underneath, just so it stays put. Just kind of slide it under there like that. Now, the top of my tassel is going to be up here. So I'm going to take one of these pieces of yarn and I'm going to put it underneath, and I'm going to slide it forward, and I'm going to tie a knot. And I'm going to tie 2 more knots. And I have this thing about needing to tie 3 knots because I want to make sure that it's going to stay put. All right, so I'm going to tie 1 more knot. All right, so now our tassel is tied at the top, which is this right here. Now we're going to gently slide our tassel off. And remember, if you made that little slit, you'll have to get that piece of yarn out of there. I forgot to do that. There we go. All right, so now we're going to gently slide our tassel off, lay it like this, and we're going to take the second piece and lay it underneath. Now we want our tassel to be towards the top, and I always measure down about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, depending on what size I'm making. So I'm going to go about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to tie this knot, or this yarn, in a knot, just like we did the top. Maybe hold my finger on it so it doesn't come out. There we go. Now, if I decide I want my tassel higher, I can push it up or push it down, but I kind of like where that one's at. Now, we have these 2 long strings. You can take those and wrap those around if you want to. And I'm going to wrap this one the other direction and tie another knot. It just kind of covers what's there. You don't have to, but you can. Make sure you snug it down nice and tight. There we go. Nice and tight. And then I just let those strings hang down. If they're sticking too far out, I might take my crochet hook and slide it up. Let me move them so that they're separate. There we go. Slide that crochet hook in underneath and grab those 2 strings and pull them under. It just depends on how it's laying for me if I go ahead and do this. And we'll just ease those under. There we go. And just pull those through. It just helps them lay underneath better. And we may have to straighten that up a little bit. We don't want any bumps or anything showing. So now here's our tassel. We've got it tied at the top. We've tied the center. And now we're just going to take our good pair of scissors and give it a cut. Now, we can measure. Go. This one's going to be about 5.5. So let's go ahead, and something that I do is I take it and I pull it with my fingers like this, and then I just give it a good trim just to make sure it's nice and even. And there's a tassel. Now you can add beads to the top of this. You can add whatever you want, buttons or beads or whatever. And then I just take and knot the top again. Like that. And give it another clip. And that's the way I make a tassel. Now a tassel can be made out of any kind of yarn or string, and they're perfect for adding to decorations like this heart. They're perfect for adding to backs of hats and boot cuffs, and all kinds of things look great with just a little tassel added on. Corners of a shawl look so pretty with a tassel. So that's how I make a tassel and how I make a template so that you know how to make several different kinds of several different lengths of tassels. Now I'm going to put these in a bag so I never lose them, and I'll always have them depending on what size tassel I want to make. And of course that depends on what size yarn I'm using or string. So that's how I make a tassel.